my office is based. Rather nice. And here's another one, which is the Brighton Pavilion, which is one of the things that Brighton's really known for. Some, literally, built by a mad king to be, more money than sense. As we're in the final afternoon of the AHEAD conference, I'm going to try and keep this really clear, really simple story. Let's not overcomplicate things at this point in the game. I am going to try and demonstrate our live test website. It is still in beta, so I'm just really hoping that it's all going to work okay, fingers crossed. And if it doesn't, we'll have to think of plan B. So the things I'm going to try and cover today, firstly, describing why and how we developed the inclusive practice work at the University of Brighton. Go on to show you the website and give you some demonstration of some of the features of it. And finally, I'm going to show other ways that inclusive practice is being mainstreamed in the planning and practice at the University of Brighton. So let's just think about a little bit of quick information about the University of Brighton. Those of you who can see the map, you'll see that it's in the southeast corner of England. The main sites, there are 3 sites in the city of Brighton, and there are further sites in Eastbourne and Hastings. The university has about 23,000 students, 3,500 staff, about 2,000 academics. Quite high rate of disability disclosure of around 13%. We think we do things quite well, so people feel we send out a very positive message about disclosure and support we can then offer. Reasons that we decided to adopt UDL, apart from the moral reason and the fact that it works for everyone, doesn't disadvantage anyone. Also about the very numbers of students we were providing adjustments for. But one school can find they've got 250 adjustments to make for one exam or one suite of exams. That's a terrible amount of work to do. So that there becomes a logistical argument for adopting UDL practices. But also, of course, as we've heard from other people from the UK, the funding changes have made some changes there. That's better. Now, just to show a little bit about the development timeline for our work. My role as Inclusive Practice Manager was created in 2012 after we had an analysis which showed the need to split the leadership of disability team from a more outward-facing developmental role. The pre-2012, I'd already started looking at UDL and inclusive practice and decided that it was an excellent model that I would want to adopt. But there were logistical issues that made that quite difficult to get into straight away. We've had some really key successes in getting the inclusive practice into the language of the university, and we're going to cover some of those later on. But some of the first things we did were to providing sort of one-to-one assistance to academics initially, and researching what things were happening. Then we rolled out from 2014. We had academic health review with inclusive practice as the institutional theme. 2015 we started running workshops within every school, and we're going to come on to some of those and some of the later developments. So just thinking, most of the work we've done has very much been reporting to and initiated from the Learning and Teaching Committee, which is one of the senior university committees. I sit on that committee representing student services. And we've used the leadership of that, which is led by a Pro-Vice-Chancellor, as something that gives us a lot of welly, is a very sort of English expression, for it gives us it buys us a lot of clout within the university for, oh, well, the Pro-Vice-Chancellor wants us to do this. That's quite helpful at times. So when we ran these school-based workshops, which we ran in each of the 10 schools of the university, the invites were sent out by the Pro-Vice-Chancellor to the head of the school, telling him or her to send delegates to it. So nobody actually said no, we can't do it on that basis. It was really quite handy having that. Now, these school sessions, I told you before, we have got 2,000 academics. We've had 500 people attending our workshops about inclusive practice on the basis of this input coming from Pro-Vice Chancellors. So a lot of people, the way we set them up was that there was a bit of an information session about what is inclusive practice, what does it look like. But actually, it was really about action research. What we went in there to do was to find things out about what was going on in the schools, what was the good practice that was already there. And we got them to do a group exercise in every setting we went into. We got them to spend more than half the time we spent on a group exercise. We asked them, what do you currently do? What is good and bad and unavoidable about that? And why do you do it? What could you do? Bit of blue skies thinking, forward thinking. Are there any barriers to that? And what would you need in terms of what support would you want from us to put those things in place if you were to be able to make some changes? One of the strong conclusions for that, apart from the things that we found which are listed on the presentation, that people always say time is an issue and things like that, was that academics were asking for the very thing they would ask their students not to do. Oh, we can't give you crib sheets for this. You've got to really have deep learning. No, they wanted cheat sheets. They wanted quick wins, things they could put into practice in quick ways. The other so they wanted practical advice, concrete examples of what they could do. And I knew from previous work that I'd done that there's a fantastic power in the student voice. Academics would always find learning from students reporting their experience to be incredibly memorable, far more memorable than all of us standing up and shouting the same thing. One student saying it will be much more memorable. So this led us into the development of the toolkit. It is still in beta phase. Literally, it had its first rollout to its test group last week, so we haven't yet got the information in from that. It was developed at the request of and in collaboration with the very academics who want to use it. It's aimed at both delivering very quick kind of bite-sized learning and quick something that people can quickly drop in and out of, and making it something which has some deeper resources tool, but it's not aiming to be the all-singing, all-dancing Bible about UDL. That is not really what we're trying to do. It's not comprehensive. It's not supposed to be. I mean, it is fairly comprehensive, but that's not really the design. We have focused on its accessibility. At the moment, it's limited. Its intention is to be limited only to the staff of the university. We do hope to add external access, and I'm talking to people here and elsewhere about possibly creating a UK-wide collaborative resource. We have intentionally included diverse materials, both written text, videos, with staff and students, which I've loved making. Everything's going to be fully captioned, and it's got PowerPoint and handouts so that you can have some enduring resources. Our panel of critical friends have helped us in the development of it, and we've got 49 of them who are taking part in the test, including one school which is currently going through curriculum review, which I'm going to come on to. So, what were the considerations for the content? Will it appeal to a sort of fairly general academic reader? Are we picking up the very things we heard about at the workshops? Will things resonate? I don't want, I think that we can sometimes make a mistake, those who have come from student support services, thinking that we can sometimes academics actually want to go away and be somewhat intellectually challenged, be asked to kind of reference things through. They're used to kind of quite deep thinking. So some of the videos that we've dropped in don't just tell a message very straightly. They're supposed to be like dropping a pebble into a pond, and it's when the ripples kind of feed out. That's how someone's supposed to kind of react to the material. It's not just, let me tell you what to do. I don't think that's very effective. Yeah. And I want people to be able to go away from having used it, feeling they've got the confidence to now look at their own course materials and to put UDL into practice. Ooh, I think I need to go back, and I think can we switch into the other feed, please? This is where it gets scary. We go live. And So, this is the landing page of the website, Inclusive Practice Toolkit. You see we've got our Pro Vice Chancellor putting his signature to it, endorsing it. And we've broken the materials down into 7 main sections. You are the first people outside the University of Brighton to see this, so I hope you love it, because I do. So the things we've got are a section about inclusive practice, 10 key points for lecturers, sector developments, supporting academic staff, creating resources, learning and teaching, and governance. Now this page, which is 10 key points for lecturers, this for me is the sort of, if you look at nothing else on the website, please look at this. It's the shortest of shortcuts. It really breaks down UDL into 10 key essentials. It's designed just to get those raw ideas across for academics who may be under an immediate time pressure, who just want to get some minimal information they can put to some use. The hope is that by making this first visit to the site easy, that they will come back for more, and so the hope is that we make that a good experience. It is, however, got some other things embedded. Further down, it's got some links to, for instance, the Switch It On policy, which allows all students to record information, and a guide for which is in the form of a handout for visiting lecturers and guest speakers. So, because I think this is a group of staff that we often forget as delivering important teaching, people who are maybe coming into the university for their one and only visit, but we actually want them to work to the same sort of standards in terms of understanding the needs of all student learners as everyone else. We're going to go now to a section which is about creating resources, and you'll see it's got quite a wide range of things there: access to learning resources, structuring and formatting, and lecture capture. And I'm going to play us now a short clip, and this is one of those pebble in a pond moments, I think. The video is from a former student union president, which highlights the barriers which arise from oversight and not revisiting the question of who is in my audience on a regular basis. So let's just play this.
Sometimes the union might have, use language that would be gendered, and that would maybe go towards isolating people who didn't subscribe to he or she pronouns. And this was never an intentional slight. It was always, if anything, it would have been an oversight. But that in itself illuminates the fact that you need to constantly be reviewing the way that you're doing things. You can't just trot out the same thing every year. You have to look over it again and check that it matches up to the people that you're interacting with and you're engaging with. Because people evolve, things evolve, ideas evolve, and if we want to keep up with that, we need to consider everybody and their position within the university.
So that's the lovely Candice. Particularly in Brighton, which has a large LGBT community, remembering the needs of trans and non-binary students is actually quite a significant issue. And but I think that is one of those sort of, it's the encouragement of academics to reflect what does my student body genuinely look like now. That's also a really key idea. We did hold, as part of the development of the site, we did hold student focus groups, and some key issues came out from that, such as wanting enthusiastic lecturers, wanting more blended learning, mixtures of theoretical and practical and other things, and we will be going back to holding more work sessions with students. So let's go to another page. This hasn't broken yet. It's fantastic. I'm so pleased. So this is about structuring and formatting of information. You will notice there's a feedback button, the green button on the top of every page. That's while it's in test phase. Once we're out of beta testing, there will be one area for people to give feedback and to engage in discussion with us. But at the moment, we want staff to be people who are reviewing the site for us to be able to look at things and give us comments on every page as they have a thought about it. You'll notice that we've included a lot of external guidance, things from lynda.com, things from UK and other sources. We have been quite sort of broad in where we've drawn things on, because as I say, we don't want to replicate effort, but equally we're not trying to be comprehensive, but still kind of give people pointers to where things may be found. Let's hear from this student now. He's not someone who I knew previously. I literally just bumped into the queue for coffee and thought, oh, he's nice, I'd like to talk to him. There we go.
One of the key things about studying law is, as everybody will presume, there is an awful lot of reading. So how does a blind man handle reading? Well, almost all of the material is available electronically, and I use Apple products to read them to me. So a PDF or an ebook, and it's a bit dull. You get a dull electronic voice reading it to you. However, it's a bit like skim reading. You can absorb the information, you just have to pay attention. On the whole, everything has been made available. The library have been great and have sought out various publishers who have, under normal obligations, made various things available in terms of if a book is in the library, they will let us have an electronic version of it. So that's all very handy. In terms of teaching, I have requested that the lecturers talk through their slides. I know talking to PowerPoint is bad practice. However, when I can't see the screen, everybody else is reading what's on the screen. It's a huge help for me if prior to talking around the subject, the lecturer, actually mentions what's on the screen and describes it. So that has been a benefit.
Okay. And this is the last page I'm going to show from the website. It's about what can you do. We were quite aware in developing the resource that just as students want to learn in multiple ways, so do academics. So we wanted to have different ways of presenting material. Some people like things that are very text heavy, and this is more like a sort of wish list. But this is drawn from some of the comments that were made during the workshops, the comments from academics about what they would like to do. And they are prompts for them to just think about, or for them to have in discussions. The other thing we've got on this page is a clip from an academic. I scroll down, and let's just play this. It's about the application of inclusive practice principles in a craft studio placement. I know sometimes people think that the practical craft or art context may be quite a difficult place to apply inclusive practice, and let's see how Katerina responds to that.
We are very aware of inclusivity in the delivery of our courses and in our teaching here. What I consider to be inclusivity is the delivery of a service or a course to be as usable as possible by as many people as possible without special adaptation or specialised design for certain individuals. If we have a student who has to have all printing done on coloured paper, so we would print all handouts on coloured paper for the whole group, the student group, not just for an individual, so that that student doesn't feel that they are being identified as different in any way, and that would be inclusive. If a student needs to sit during a session, instead of just offering a chair to that one individual student, we would make chairs available for, I would put chairs out for, say, the front row of a group, so that several students would sit, if not all the students. If I can't provide chairs for everyone, I would provide chairs for quite a few students. That would mean that that student is not identified as needing any special adaptation.
Dylan, could we just switch back to the other feed, please? Thank you. I've also been given my 5-minute warning, so I'm afraid that awful thing of having to canter through the end of the presentation. I've already touched on this to an extent, so I'm going to move on to the third section, which is talking about the other ways in which we've been advancing inclusive practice within policy and practice at the university. I'd like to just read the element at the top. Last year we had inclusive practice adopted as one of the standards within Equality and Diversity Standard, which all applications for new course validation and periodic review have to meet. And one of the things this says is inclusive practice should be considered for all academic programmes unless there's a clearly justified pedagogical reason for not doing so. So, you know, try and defend that. I think that sometimes we encounter issues with professional standards and regulatory bodies, but I think often the arguments can be taken up with them too. I'm just going to close that because it's distracting me. Okay. One of the things that I really like about it is that our materials clarify the last bullet point on that slide, which is understanding the importance that creating an ethos that respects and celebrates the diverse backgrounds and skills of students makes the effective curriculum development can only take place when you really understand your students in all their multiple ways. They have multiple features. So the curriculum design framework is the most recent thing we're working on. This is actually going to be reviewing all our undergraduate programmes, school by school, from the first one, the absolute pilot is going through now, and I took part in a workshop last week on that. We're focusing on consistent student experience, and the guidance document for that, which I've got a copy of here, is absolutely, inclusive practice is absolutely sewn through it. It appears in every element of it. It talks about graduate attributes and the merit of understanding inclusivity for them. It's all sorts of, you know, it has some really nice things to say. We actually launched the toolkit early because we want the schools who are going through the curriculum design framework review to be able to take advantage of it. And we do anticipate that all the schools going through the process that itself will drive a lot of people to come to our site because they will almost have to do so as they go through the process. It may be that as a consequence of feedback that we develop some new and special materials, but that's the merit of calling it a toolkit. You can always add a new wrench to a toolkit. We can always build some extra bits. And one of the things I really want to do is to carry on capturing the comments from lecturers and from students. I think that's such a rich, for me, not only what we then have as a body of responses from people, but also the very act of taking part and reflecting on inclusive practice and being filmed doing so. I think that makes it more meaningful for people to understand the value in what they are doing, which is inclusive, and that itself helps to buy us additional allies. The next steps for us, and this is the final shot with all the lovely poppies up on the downs, is we will be supporting people going through new course validation. We're going to be working with each of the schools that's going through the pilot of the Curriculum Review Initiative project. We're going to continue developing the toolkit and rolling out some self-audit tools, and I'll be talking to some colleagues about that. Because I think that's an area that we haven't really touched on in this toolkit, but that's the next stage for us. And also kind of looking at one of the things that came out of the workshops we did with the 500 academics was that there were some real infrastructural issues. You know, you can't start doing lots of flipped classroom if you don't trust the fact that, you know, the basic IT is going to work in your lecture theatre. So those are the sort of things that we're focusing on and addressing those issues as well. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this, and welcome to take any questions.